So today we are talking about how your physical health affects your relationships. Last time we talked about mental health, emotional health, but this time we really wanted to hone in on physical health. And so I want to start out by saying that it's not just about your appearance. It's not just I'm looking good for my boo, I'm looking good for my bae, I'm looking good for me. That's a positive side effect of being healthy, but it's not the necessarily end goal. It's one of them, but it's not the only goal. And to me, as far as my relationship is concerned, I'm more concerned about my life longevity. I'm more concerned about how long and how well I will live. And so your health is for you, but it affects everyone connected to you. When I say it affects everyone connected to you, that's financially, that's as far as like, again, how long you live, how well you live. All those things affect those who are connected to you, and especially those who are closest to you, like your spouse or your significant other and your children. So even though it benefits you and even though it's for you, it affects other people. Also, you're more likely to develop almost any disease if you're not taking care of your body versus if you were taking care of your body. Most things that they say help you prevent illness is healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, things like that. Now, that's not foolproof, and we know some healthy people who have passed on from things that, it didn't seem like they would be at risk. However, it doesn't eliminate your chance. It just minimizes your chance from having premature death or having these diseases. But then when we think about it from a spiritual sense, we want to think about the fact that your body is a temple. And that doesn't mean not, I mean, that's the scripture isn't only limited to telling you not to sleep around. The scripture is encouraging you to take care of your body properly, just like you would the temple of God. Reverencing your body in a way that means that you care enough about it that you wouldn't just put anything in it. And then when we think about what we're putting in our bodies, our diet is a big part of our health. It's a big part of losing weight. It's a big part of how other things in our health manifest. It can affect like your hair. It can affect your nails. It can affect your blood flow, fellas. It can it can affect a lot of things. And when it comes to, again, your relationship with your significant other, you need to be in your best self, so so that you can show up best for your significant other, show up best for your kids, show up best for yourself, show up best for your job. Whatever it is that you need to show up for, you want to present in a way that is useful and beneficial. Your health behaviors influence those in your household, not just affect. They don't just cause them to deal with the consequence. They also influence the way that they behave. So if my kids see mom eating healthy, or if I choose to put healthy food on the table, then my kids are going to eat more healthy. Like for me, when I first started out with my daughter, I did not introduce her to sweets until she was 5 years old. So she didn't really have a taste for sweets. Like she didn't crave it. She didn't have cavities. She didn't experience all of this until it was introduced to her. But she didn't feel like she was missing anything because I still gave her things like fruit and other alternatives that were not quite as unhealthy. And so the way that you behave, the way that you take care of your health, the way that you eat, the way that you exercise and things like that, it influences your kids. And even when I'm walking, a lot of times I walk in place because I can't really go all the time, but when I'm walking in place, my kids will come and walk alongside me, so they're seeing what I'm doing and they're understanding the importance of what I'm doing, and they're picking it up as well. So what you do matters. And not only does it matter in their youth, or not only does it matter to your spouse seeing you take a healthy stance, once they implement it, it can be passed down generationally. It's just like we pass down generational curses sometimes, we can pass down generational health, just like we can pass down generational wealth. And health is wealth. And so be mindful of that, especially when you have children. Health also impacts your finances. If you think about it, would you rather pay? I'm sorry. Would you rather pay $10 a month for a gym membership, or would you rather pay $3,000 hospital bill because you have to have a surgery that could have been prevented? Me personally, I'd rather do the gym membership. For one, it's payments. For two, it's not a large sum because of a lack of responsibility on my part for my body. Think about it. Would you rather pay $7 for a salad or $7 for a burger combo? Now, if you like me, to me, a salad is kind of a side item. So, you know, but the whole point is sometimes we have to make the healthy choice, even when it doesn't seem like something. Because I know for me, a lot of my excuse was I can't afford the healthy lifestyle. I can't afford um I can't afford to buy that food. I can't afford to go these places. But in reality, you're still going to pay the cost. You're just going to pay it on the back end. And it's really harder to enjoy activities as a couple or even by yourself when you have these physical restrictions. Now, that's different than just a choice. A choice says, okay, I'm not going to eat that because I choose not to eat that, not because I can't eat that. And so when you cannot do something, it makes it a lot more difficult to enjoy time with your friends, with your spouse, with your kids. And so keep that in mind. And we all know that death is inevitable. We all have to leave here at some point, but I'm not in a rush to get there. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want my poor choices to lead me to an early grave. I don't want my spoon to turn into the shovel that digs my grave. The journey does not have to be lonely. We can link up with friends. We can link up with our spouse. We can encourage our kids to join in. Even in whether it's diet, whether it's exercise, whether it's being drug free. I know I've been talking a lot about what we eat and our physical activity, but remaining drug free is big too. A lot of cancers and things like that are brought on us by our choice to use some type of drug, whether it's legal or not. That's not the question. The question is what you're putting in your body more beneficial or less beneficial? And is it beneficial to your mind, body, soul, spirit? Is it beneficial? If it's beneficial, then yes, eat it, drink it, but if it's not, leave it alone. Or and here's the thing, when I say leave it alone, I don't mean that you can't have something that brings you comfort. When I say leave it alone, I mean that you should find an alternative, a healthy alternative. So then we talk about how your health affects your state of mind. It can really affect your mind when you don't feel good about yourself, the way you see yourself, or the way you feel like others see you, or even the way that you see other people. You may be comparing yourself, and comparison is the enemy of contentment. It's the enemy of gratitude. So when you compare yourself in an unhealthy way, it can lead you to a depression, and then it becomes a cycle. You may eat because you're depressed, and because of the way you look, it depresses you even more. Try your best not to cause yourself to go into that vicious cycle, because the only way to dig yourself out of that is to make one decision at a time. It's a choice that has long lasting effects. Like and I understand that there are some conditions that limit us, but there's always something we can do to be better. We may not be bench pressing 200 pounds, but there's something we can do, whether it's walking, whether it's swimming, whether it's eating smaller portion sizes, whether it's choosing prayer instead of smoking. I mean, whatever it is, it's all about your choices. And those choices, those small steps lead to big changes. And then if we want to talk about serving each other, just like this tribe serves us, and just like we serve in our relationships and serve in our communities, it's difficult to serve when you're out of shape. It's difficult to do anything when you're out of shape. And speaking of service, flexibility is an asset inside and outside of the bedroom. I'm saying this for the couples. Flexibility is an asset, but you can't be flexible when you're out of shape. So we really have to consider how our everything that we're doing, every decision we're making about our physical wellness affects our whole entire life. And you want to live your best life while you're here. You don't want to be, and the Bible says that we'll get a new body, but you want to take care of this body. You want to enjoy this body while you're here. You don't want to wait till you get to heaven to really see what it feels like to be free. And I'm not the best at health, but I am trying to make choices. I'm not a health expert. Y'all know my line of work is relationships. But I'm saying all this because this is something that I myself am working on. And this is something that I feel like we as a Black community, we as a Christian community, we as a community period, take for granted that people should accept us the way that we are. And we love good food, we love good eating. And I know Thanksgiving is coming up. It's okay to have a good time at Thanksgiving and eat your meal. That's not, we're not telling you not to enjoy that time, but I do think it's important that we make a lifestyle choice on our own behalf and the behalf of those who are connected to us, as I said earlier. Also, I acknowledge that change is hard. Like, it's not going to be an easy choice, especially when you're a creature of habit. You know what you normally like to eat. You know what you normally buy from the store. You know how you normally spend your time. But even though change is hard, staying the same is hard too. When you can't walk up the stairs and you're out of breath after 2 steps, that's hard. So you really just have to pick your heart. What are you going to sacrifice? And is it going to be worth it in the end? Because the hardest person to deny is yourself. But sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we have to just tell ourselves, no, I'm not going to eat that extra piece of cake. No, I'm not going to gorge out at everybody's house during this Thanksgiving holiday, and or maybe I'll just limit my portion sizes. I mean, we just really have to learn how to discipline ourselves. And like I said, you can have special things on special occasions, but don't make them into daily treats. And like I said, find those healthy alternatives that will help you to be able to make it a lifestyle. Because one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go all the way in doing something that you can't maintain. Because if you can't maintain it, then you won't maintain it. So make sure that you're making choices that are doable for you and not just what everybody else is doing. I know you see a million YouTube videos, a million Facebook lives, a million things of people telling you what they did, and they may be helpful, but you really need to do what works for you. You need to do what you know that you can consistently keep up with. Even when you're like, go ahead.
Sorry, can I chime in?
Absolutely.
Because I totally agree with everything that you're saying. And one thing that I would like to add, when we start looking at this as self care, yes, it benefits our spouses and our families, but we have to look at it as self care. And like, for example, when you start working or you initially start working out, incorporate other things that will, kind of alleviate some of the pain. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about flexibility. There's a company here in Birmingham called Flex Zone, and the kinesiologist will assist you in your stretching so that you don't damage yourself, and it feels amazing for your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it
Mm-hmm.
gets rid of a lot of the tension. And then if you can do a massage for yourself maybe once a month, by all means do that. You know, that'll incorporate into health, because you won't have as much tension, and then you'll still stay inspired to continue to work out. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to give like those two tidbits, just kind of like a self care. And it'll help you to stay active and moving around, without the pain for when you're getting started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you really brought up a good point that you can reward yourself without it having to be an unhealthy reward. Like the reward of a massage would be amazing to me. It doesn't have to be that I go out and splurge like, oh, I did so good. I'm gonna give myself, a piece of cake, or I'm gonna give myself this extra grace. I really want to keep up with what I'm doing, but I can reward myself in that way. I may even decide, because I've lost some weight, to buy myself an outfit. Now, that doesn't mean I need to pick up an addiction of shopping, but that may mean that I can reward myself, every now and then with something that is not going to derail my fitness change, or my wellness lifestyle change. So that's an excellent point, Alexis. And everybody else, please feel free to chime in. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to speak at the end as well, but absolutely, I do not mind if you chime in and want to share something as well. And let's talk about like when you go to the grocery store too. So when you go to the store, before you go
Before
to
you
the
go to the
store,
store,
make a
make a
list,
list.
and stick to it. Because if you're like me and you walk up to the aisle and you see, they put the impulse aisle right there for impulsive people. They put stuff there so you'll buy it just because it's right there, it's convenient, you wanted it anyway. But if it's not on the list, it doesn't make the cut. So make your list and stick to it. That again goes back to that discipline. um and then never go to the store hungry. I know that was a bad one for me, because a lot of times I would go to the store right after I picked up the kids from school, right after I got off work, and I'm just going to the store so I can get this and let's get us all in the house. But maybe pack a little snack. If you know you have to go to the store later, pack a little healthy snack, maybe some nuts or some carrots or something, and eat it just before you go in the store. And it will make a big difference in whether you pick up something just to, because our eyes get big sometimes. Sometimes we get hungry while we're in there and we just want to grab something real quick. And it's a lot easier to deny when you're not hungry. Also, it's okay to snack, but snack on the right things. Snack regularly on healthy snacks. Um, and you can snack often, like it builds your metabolism, but as long as it's healthy. It's less about what you can't eat than what you can and what you do. Um, it's more about what am I eating, like I said, that benefits my body. Um, Now let's bring this back to the relationship side of things. You can do this together. You can work together to find fun and delicious recipes, healthy recipes, and then you can cook together. But if you cook together, I know sometimes that can be a source of contention between some people. You get in the kitchen and you want people out of your kitchen. But in the event that you're okay with cooking, cook together and make it fun. It's not about perfection, but it's about quality time. Remove the pressure of cooking together. You can even assign stations and then just talk while you're cooking. But make this new lifestyle fun. Okay, don't let the other person feel isolated, whether they're in the journey or out of the journey. Try to see if you can do things together. Like I said, this is for people in relationship, this is for people with kids, this is for people just in general. And then just try to verbally and physically support each other. Positive change, compliment each other often, and try not to give so much advice or critique unless they ask for it. If they ask for it, sure, go for it. But you still need to say whatever you have to say gently and sensitively, knowing that they're trying to do better. Even if they haven't even started the steps yet, the fact that they're inquiring about it is something positive that you can actually compliment them on. You know, you might say, oh, they may say, do I look big in this dress? And in your mind, the truth is maybe she does look big in a dress. And instead of saying good, yes, you know, you should say, that dress may not be flattering on you, but I do think that the fact that you're even considering it is admirable. I really think that you would look great in this black dress. You know, whatever would speak to her. Personally, I would receive that better than if my husband was like, you should really take that off. It looks awful. That may not be the way to get me. Then I might just not go anywhere. So be careful when you are giving advice, to just be sensitive to the person, be supportive of them, and still uplift them, and create an honest create an environment for honest feedback. So if you're the person that's asking whether something looks good, or whether you need to lose weight, or whatever it is you're asking about, don't get mad when they give you an honest answer, especially if they deliver it in a gentle way. Also understand that the journey is not linear. It's not going to be just, I do XYZ exercises and I'm going to lose this amount of weight. And, you know, there are going to be times when your weight just comes and goes, it's up and down. And not only will it be a physical roller coaster, but it may be an emotional roller coaster. You may feel like, I just, I don't see any results. And so now I'm upset. So now I feel like nothing that I did is working. So I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing. That's one of those emotional roller coasters that comes with the journey. So just make sure that you are aware that this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be something that you have to set your mind, your will, and your emotions to do. And if you need professional help, get it. And if you're the person supporting somebody else, encourage them to go speak to a health professional. Encourage them to go to the gym and speak with a gym instructor, or a nutritionist, or whomever may be able to help on the journey where you might not have the answers to it. Don't neglect them on this journey. You can support them in many ways, whether you're the person getting fit, or whether it's your spouse or your child or whomever getting fit. Don't neglect the person on the journey, because like I said, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And this is one of those times when they'll need you the most. They'll need you to keep them uplifted. And also, don't just support them, but also don't get jealous of them. Don't get jealous of their changes, and don't get jealous of the compliments they receive, because if they go through any type of change, people are going to notice, because people are always watching. So try not to get jealous, but also try not to make your significant other or other people jealous. It's okay to be confident, but confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is, I know that I am a beautiful created being of God, but that doesn't mean that I'm any better than anybody else. Also, don't shame them. Don't cause them to feel like what they've decided is dumb, is stupid, is it, you know, if it's extreme, that's one thing. If it's extreme, then maybe you can help with some alternatives, or maybe you can help them kind of temper it down a little bit. But you should not make anybody feel wrong or bad for trying to take care of their health, and trying to do better, and trying to be the best versions of themselves. No matter what route they choose to take, the end goal is not stupid. The method may be unconventional, the method may not be beneficial, the method may be wrong, but the fact that they're trying to do something is good. And you, again, should not beat them down for their choice, but you should try to help direct them in the right way, in a healthy way, for what works for them. And so I know Alexis had shared her points. Is there anybody else that would like to say anything? Anybody else that has some ideas or even a experience of their own where they may have taken control of their health and they saw how it affected their relationship? You can unmute and speak now.
Well, I don't have a personal story of when I've taken charge of my physical health, but I do know of situations where, women have. I know you touched on situations to where, their partner would get jealous, once they started looking better or and I know that comes out a lot when
Mm-hmm.
especially women, when we lose
Mm-hmm.
weight, we look better, we feel better. So our behavior might be different from what people around us might might see. So I kind of want you to dig into that and I don't know what the guys might have to say about it, but is that um does that bring out issues in the relationship, possible insecurities, or is it something that, the men should accept? Or I mean, guys, tell me, is it just something that happens on the side where it's the woman that's losing weight and the guy? Because it seems like we're, as women, we're always the ones that are concerned about our weight and how we look, and because we don't want our men looking at other folks, and we
Mm-hmm.
ain't looking good, so kind of touch a little bit on that, and if anybody else want to add to what I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really the reason why I even mentioned that, is because there have been instances where a man has gotten jealous, or a woman has gotten jealous and possessive, and they try to control, who the person talks to, where they go, what they wear, things like that, because now this person has a confidence that they didn't have before. Now this person's body has been transformed like it hasn't been before. And so now they're in a whole new normal, and it's not. And sometimes there have been instances where a person has tried to a spouse or a significant other has tried to sabotage the person's journey, and it's because they're not comfortable with this new normal. They're not comfortable with the attention or the possibility of attention, or they may feel like, well, who are you getting fit for? That's when those insecurities really start to show up, and you start to see a different side of that person where you're feeling good about yourself, but now there's trouble in your relationship. That shouldn't be. It should be where this person is supporting you. And that's why a lot of my tips that I shared were mostly about supporting, because I know that it can change the dynamics of a relationship. I know that even in healthy relationships, it can change, because once you start making lifestyle changes, it changes life between us. Um, and so we have to be careful that whoever that we're with can kind of handle it, and you can kind of prepare them for the changes that you're getting ready to make, and you can explain to them why you're making these changes and make them a part of the journey. I think that would really help them to accept what it is you're doing, and even encourage them to join you. Like, I'm not trying to leave you behind, I'm not trying to leave you for anyone. I'm just really taking control of my health, because I really want to live a long, healthy, and happy life. I don't want to leave my children without a mother. And if you're a father, you don't want to leave your children without a father. You don't want to leave them grieving because you have this, this situation, this disease. Now we all have to account for it, or mom can't can't take me anywhere because she's, always tired, or, whatever it is that's affecting the family. This is why you're choosing to get healthy. And that's what you explain to your spouse, your significant other. That's what you explain to your kids. We don't eat this anymore because of that, but try this. This tastes really good. And sometimes it may be where you just have to introduce it and then take the thing away after the fact so that they don't miss it, versus you took away their favorite thing and now everybody's mad. And even if you don't take away everything, you can alter the recipe some. If it calls for um, a certain ingredient, you can look up what alternative is there to that ingredient. Google tells you just about anything you want to know. People have been changing diets, people have been changing recipes for years. So if you have something that is a fan favorite in your house, go ahead and look it up. But all this to say, make the changes inclusive of your family or your significant other, and that allows them to transition with you versus being on the outside looking in and getting jealous and defensive and all of these things. I would love to hear from Tony and Chris about their male perspective.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so a couple things I wanted to listening. It gave me some memories. One is, you say if you're being asked by your mate, how does she look in this particular dress or outfit or whatever, we should be honest, but at the same time be sensitive. So I have a problem with that one. That's just really not my strong suit. If you ask me a question, I would usually tell you. And then it's like, for me, when I hear that from women, it's like one of those things where it's true, but it's false at the same time. You don't want me to tell you that the dress is ugly, but you want me to tell you the truth too. So it's like, that's always like a catch-22 for me. It's like, so I just tell the truth and deal with whatever feelings that come behind it. Because if I tell you that I like the dress, then you say, well, you don't really like the dress. You're just saying you do. It's like, that's a whole nother situation right there too. So it's like, when it comes down to the women and their outfits, I would rather not be asked that question so I won't have to tell you the truth. Because it seems to me that if I have on something that is not appealing, I'm told that straight out, and it's less of a hassle. I just, okay, I'll find a different shirt, or I'll find something that fits better, or something it's easier for us. We don't have to have the sensitivity, I guess, applied when it's being told, well, at least to me. So that's one thing. I think that's a little bit tricky. And another thing is, this past weekend, I went to a football game, and I saw a couple people that I went to high school with, both large. My classmate, he was huge. I'm talking about like 450. And his wife was not as big, but she was definitely a plus size. But watching them and catching up to them and talking to them and loving on them, so I'm not going to treat anybody any different, right? We all grew up together, so I still love them and care for them. But I had this thought that I was like, you know what? I got to make sure that I'm not in that condition, right? This guy's just a few years younger than me, and I just turned 52, but they actually had to wait on the golf cart to take them up to the stadium. I could pull the stairs and everything else, and I'm thinking to myself, I got to make sure that I stay in some sort of physical, condition to move around freely, like we were talking about. You got to be flexible. And also, my mate, she does the same thing. So we walk a lot together. In fact, that's how we actually met, walking. We were in a walking group. So that's how we met. So we try to stay physically fit together. And when I slack, she gets on me really, really heavy. And I could take it though, because I understand what she's saying. She's like, hey, you've been sitting down a lot eating these chocolate chips. I like those chocolate chip cookies. So she gets on to me. So I think this conversation needs to be had more frequently. But here's a question to everybody on this panel, in this tribe. Do we really mean it? We all know it's true and it's needed, but do we really mean it? Because everybody that I talked to over this holiday season had given themselves a break. They gonna eat them chitlins. They gonna eat all the stuff that we know traditionally has not been good for Black folks. It's going down. So are we really trying to be healthier, or are we just talking? Like, I'm not accusing anybody in the tribe of anything. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah. So I will address all three of the things that you said. And we'll start with the first thing. It sounded to me like you were saying it was almost like a trap for a woman to ask a man, how do I look in this? And for me, I do want my husband's honest opinion. It just matters to me how he says it. Like I said, he can tell me that a dress is not flattering by giving me an alternative. Or he can say, and I'm not saying like you always have to spend money, but if you know that your wife has this one particular dress that she loves, but you don't really like the way it looks, you can go and buy something similar that you actually like that she would also like and give that to her, and maybe that'll be the dress that she starts picking up more often. But like we're saying, to address it face on, if I would not offer my critique necessarily if they didn't ask, unless it just looked horrendous. If it looks that bad and they ask you, or if it looks that bad and they don't ask you, you could say, babe, I really think the black dress looks nice on you, or it looks better on you than that. Or you could say, it's not my cup of tea. I don't care for that dress, whatever. And assure them that you still find them attractive, not necessarily the outfit they have on, but them attractive. And even if you find yourself not finding them attractive, instead of telling them, babe, you getting pretty out there, then you can say, babe, I think we should start working out together. I feel like, we kind of getting away from our ideal weight or whatever, or we're getting away from, like, for example, and this is not beauty related, but when I was nursing my baby, I don't wear perfume when I'm nursing my baby, because I want them to know what mommy smell like. So I don't wear perfume, but my husband loves a good perfume. So when I finished nursing, what's the first thing he brought me? Some perfume. And it's not because I stink to him, it's just because he likes scents. And I know that about him. And he even says, babe, are you going to start wearing perfume again? Like, he will ask things about things that he wants from me. But again, it's all in how he delivers it to me. And when, and like I said, if I do ask you the question of how does this look on me, I do expect the honest answer. I just don't expect you to beat me down in your answer. So you can say, I don't care for it. That's a true answer. You don't care for it. And so that gives me the opportunity to either say, I'm going to wear it anyway, or change. You know what I'm saying? Because
So,
I
Mr.
asked the
Ray,
question. But that doesn't mean that that's going to dictate my, but it gives me a perspective that allows me to choose,
Mr.
if that
Vay,
makes sense. Yes, Tony.
before you go on to the next two, may I
Mm-hmm.
chime in on this one? Well, I'm
Absolutely.
really similar to Chris when it comes to this. But I think that all of this starts off with the early conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
if I meet someone and I have this conversation early, I said, don't ask me if you don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if my wife wants to wear a leopard print outfit, I'm gonna say I don't like it, but I don't think that's rude. I think that's honest, and so I'm not sure I'm with that one. Um,
And you
and
can
I'm
say that,
really
though.
talking
You can
about the
say
way.
that. If your wife is okay with that, you can say, I don't like it. What I'm saying don't say is, you look ugly. You see the
Oh no.
difference?
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Anyone that would do that, that's a completely different level of issue right there.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. You can be honest, and I'm okay with you saying I don't like it. That's your opinion of what I asked you. That's okay,
Okay.
especially if your significant other is okay with it. It's just how you deliver it. Like I said, I don't like it. It's totally different from you look ugly.
I'm with
And
you.
so so I'm just saying to be gentle in your response, yet honest, and then possibly offer an alternative.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. High five.
Yes, sir. Does that make sense to you too, Chris?
You're muted, Chris.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
So yes and no. I just, I got told by another friend that I lack tact sometimes. This is true. This is true, but I think this is the world in which I live in now, where the politeness, for lack of a better term, has been beat out of me. So
Politically correct.
yes, I tend to just get to it. And you prove my point when you say, if you ask me and then I tell you, and you say that doesn't influence your answer, well, what you're if you're going to what address regardless, I feel like, well, why ask? If my opinion, if I tell you that the dress, if I said it in the kindest way, and you still say, well, I like it and I'm gonna continue on, I don't understand what the purpose of it was. I get lost right there. And I think that we have so many situations like that I tend to just check out. I would rather not deal with it than to have a conversation that nets no fruit. So if
So,
you
Well,
Mr. Vay, I think that the reason why this resonates with guys the way it does is because what you're discussing now is kind of at the summit of who we are internally.
mm-hmm,
And it's not a surface level for us with this particular topic. So,
mm-hmm,
our integrity, our strength, our preference, the things that we desire, the things that are innate, that's what you're dealing with on this particular topic. So it's a little tougher for us on this one.
mm-hmm,
I know you're saying be tactful about it. I think that those early conversations probably make it possible for Chris to be able to share this information with his mate, and
mm,
she understand. I mean, let me know if I'm wrong.
no,
right. And
you
that's why I said that if his significant other could take it that way, because the way you talk to her and what she is capable of receiving may be different than what another wife is capable of receiving. She may know that you are more straightforward than somebody else, and she may have accepted that about you. I'm saying do what works for your spouse, but don't tear them down.
sure.
And then when we talk about them maybe not changing, it doesn't mean that I don't value your opinion. It's like you're giving me some insight into what you like. So I may still decide to wear this dress, but I may not buy another one like it. You know what I'm saying? I may say, well, what about this don't you like? And you may point out what you don't like. So the next time I go to the store, then I know what you don't feel like looks good on me. So just because I'm gathering information doesn't mean that you take away my choice. I still get to choose whether to wear it, but it helps me to kind of be informed about what you like, what you don't like. And sometimes we're just being stubborn, and sometimes you have said it and it planted a seed, and it's going to take a little while for me to let that thing go. So I mean, it's not for no reason that that I ask you something and you give me the answer. It may just take a while for you to see the manifestation of what you're looking for.
Did you
Because
notice
there.
in
Mhm.
in my response, I said if she told me that she didn't like my shirt, I would change it.
Right.
Yes, I did.
I was going to get
I
to that,
did.
Chris.
But is
I was
that
going
your
to get to that.
choice? But
Huh?
that's your
But,
choice.
so, Mr. Vay,
Yes,
let's say your husband, what's his name again?
Jay.
Let's say Jay came to you and Jay said, "Baby, do you like me in these booty shorts?" Now, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what Jay's choice is. You guys are not going out in public with booty shorts on. That- right?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this: he may
We'll be
go out, but I ain't
devastated.
going with him. It's still gonna be his choice. You go on out there if you want to, but I'm not going with you. You're not. You're not gonna embarrass me. They're not gonna see me with you. They may know you my husband. They gonna know that I did not co-sign on it because I did not come with you looking like that.
Can I chime in? I'll chime in. Ultimately,
Go
what
ahead.
I'm is that there is a responsibility for both parties to care for
Yeah,
one another and how you
yeah,
respond, right?
yeah.
Because our
Right.
languages and how we speak to each other and all of that is not universal. But the thing that is respect, is the
Exactly.
honor, care, and the concern for it, which all together is the tact,
Right.
right? That
Right.
all want. Now we're not always, some of us been together for 20 plus years or whatever. So like she said, has reiterated, is that how your spouse is going to respond. But I am also one of the women who is, don't ask me my honest opinion if you don't want it, because I too, and we too as women, we can be just as curt
Oh
as
yeah.
men.
Oh yeah.
Responsibility is to make sure that we are showing care and love and with our partners, even in being honest. Just because we are being honest does not mean that we are to be rude, right? Or
Exactly.
we should present
Exactly.
to them and tear down the character, whether that be male or female, right? We never want to tear down the character or someone's esteem, but to push what is the strength and the beauty of that individual.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very nicely put, Jay. So to address Chris's second point, which was that he saw, some people that were out of shape, and it really put into perspective um, him caring for his own self and supporting his wife in her journey. And what I really heard and what he said was that accountability piece. And it's great that you and your wife have that partnership where you both care about your bodies and that you're both holding each other accountable and you're both concerned enough about each other that you tell each other. And that's good. That's a great thing. Again, I still suggest that you would be respectful of each other. And it's okay to joke and play around. Like, we're not talking about, a joke being bad. We're talking about, if that's the way you and your spouse or you and whomever communicate, continue to do that. Just make sure that you're encouraging each other one way or another, encouraging each other and being accountable. So I think that's amazing that you were able to see that and reflect on your own situation, and how you could be how you can make sure that you didn't end up in that situation. Because like I said before, it can really put a damper on your plans. It can hinder your activities. It can really make it to where um, the things that you have planned you can't do, but physically you cannot do, not choose not to do, cannot do. Even like buying a plane ticket, when you are of a larger size, sometimes you are charged double because now you got to buy two plane seats, things like that really really affect whether you're able to spend that quality time and actually it be quality. I don't want to go anywhere where I'm always out of breath, and you can take little small steps. It doesn't have to be where you have to be a gym junkie or anything like that. It could be where you park farther away from the building and take more steps to get to your desk. you know it can be taking the stairs instead of the elevator. It could be little things, but it's just the point of being intentional about choosing your health, and not letting all those bad decisions accumulate. Um, now and that kind of leads me to the third point where he was talking about, are we really serious because we're planning on going into this holiday and gorging out? And that's kind of where I was hitting on earlier, where I said on a special occasion it's okay to do a little something out of the norm, but you should not make it a regular practice. And even if you do something out of the norm, you should not go to the extreme. Like, don't make yourself sick, because your body's going to reject it anyway. You're going to feel it later that night if you go all the way to the extreme from what you've been doing. So when we go into these holidays and when we go into these special occasions, first of all, they should be just that, special occasions, not a regular occurrence. And when you go into those special occasions, still make wise decisions, and don't go too far that you break your commitment to yourself. You don't want that one decision to derail all the hard work that you have done up until this point. You want it all to be worth it. That one decision may not break you. That one special occasion may not break you, but just don't make a habit of it. It's a special treat for a reason. It's not your daily diet that you should be engaging in. And so I think that addressed all three of his questions and concerns. I want to make sure nobody else has, anything that they would like to add to that, they would like to say, any questions you have about that. But most of my discussion has really been about supporting each other in the journey, being aware of each other, being sensitive to each other. And when I say sensitive, I don't mean you have to sugarcoat anything. I just mean that you don't need to be abrasive and abusive when you speak to your person. But like I said, and even to your kids, like, sometimes we take for granted that they have feelings too. Like, I don't want to tell my kid that, you a fat little whatever. Like, you don't want to say that to your kids either, because when you start tearing down your kids, they start internalizing that too. So it's important that we have a culture of just grace in your home that allows for growth and allows for accountability, but does not tear down. That's really all I'm saying. Like, if I ask you the question, that's fine. Just don't tear me down. If I don't ask you the question, that's also fine. Just don't tear me down. That's all that we're saying in this. Support each other. Don't tear each other down. Try to be the best version of yourself. Show up for yourself. Show up for your family. Show up for your community. Because if you're like me, you like to serve at your church. And just like this past weekend, we were giving away Thanksgiving boxes, and it took a lot of physical labor to, fill the boxes, pick the boxes up, put the boxes there. You know what I'm saying? And so if I had not been somewhat fit, I would have tired out very quickly, or may not have even gone, because I didn't have the energy. And so all that to say, take care of yourself, because it influences other people. Anybody else like to have anything to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, Miss Benita.
Yes, thank you. And I'm really going to try to keep this brief, because I could talk on this topic for a day and a half and still have more to say. But what I would like to say is, in relationships, we got to start early, supporting one another, listening to one another, coaxing one another to do the right thing. And I say this because my husband is not with me today because he would not listen. He would not follow the doctor's advice. He wouldn't follow anything I said and our daughter said, trying to help him along the way. He got into being a junk food junkie to the extreme. And we supported every step of the way, go with him to doctor's appointments, trying to cook the right foods, trying to do all the right stuff. But he didn't want to get with the program, so to speak. And like I said, I'm trying to keep this brief. That's why I'm using the words I am. And so it finally got to the point where, after he wouldn't listen to the doctor, his primary doctor, dropped him. Wow. Because he just would not listen. And I guess some doctors fall within a network that if the patient isn't following the doctor's orders, if they're not picking up their medications, taking medications and so forth, then they have to drop them so they don't get a penalty. And so even once my husband got to the point where he said, and I say this, and please hear me, I loved him to the day he died, and I loved him to can't wait to see him in heaven, and we spent time together again. But it got to the point where during the holidays, he
Mm-hmm.
said to me, if you don't leave me alone about my eating, then I want a divorce.
Wow.
That was very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And we called a family meeting, me, him, and my daughter. We had a family meeting. And we finally had, my daughter and I had finally decided that, okay, we take our hands off.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to, try to guide you in your eating anymore, because we want you to be here with us. We want you around, but we want you to be content in whatever time you have here. Within 2 weeks of him saying, leave me alone, and us taking our hands off, in 2 weeks, he had a massive brain bleed, a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
never recovered. Died within the next year. We got to listen to one another. Start
Yeah.
early in your relationship. Do whatever you can. But sometimes, I mean, like I said, in our situation, there really wasn't much more we could do. We would go to the grocery store and buy all the right stuff, cook all the right stuff. He turned right around, go to the grocery store and buy junk.
Mm-hmm.
Or would go around, get in his vehicle and go to fast food places, one behind the other, and eat and eat and eat and eat until it tore up his kidneys, his heart, his liver, everything.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying to everybody on this call, and this is my thing now, talking to people about health.
Mm-hmm.
Please, please listen. Please support one another.
Yes.
It could be detrimental.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Benita. And we are so sorry for your loss. And it sounds like you did everything you could, kind of like what I was saying in the beginning of our discussion. Like, it affects your family. It's for you, but it affects everybody else. And so, you and your daughter are grieving his loss because of the decisions that he made. And he left here prematurely based on those decisions. But I
Yes.
appreciate you and I applaud you for doing all that you could to make sure that he had access to the right things. But at the end of the day, it was his decision, just like, as we're saying to everybody else, it's your decision that's going to impact everybody else and yourself. Like I said, I want to be here long term, and I want to be here happy. I don't want to be, I don't want to have an addiction to sugar or anything else. I want to be able to enjoy life and have a long life that I can spend time with my kids, and I can watch them grow old, and so on and so forth. So absolutely, I appreciate you sharing that, and it just rings true to everything that we've been saying in this discussion, that it's important that we partner on this and that we take our health seriously, for our relationships as well as for ourselves.
May I say just one more thing on that? And
Absolutely.
I hate to do this, but as our daughter was growing up, she started taking on some of his habits. Being a kid, you see dad eating all this junk, and you two go out on daddy daughter dates and fun and outings and all this, and so you two just yucking it up and eating everything in sight, like it's the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Well, she got very obese too in the growing years. After she saw what it did to him and it took his life, she asked me, Mama, I've been researching, trying to find out how I can get in better health. And she had researched doing the what is a gastric sleeve, and looked into how much it would cost and all that. And since she had done her research, I used the money to pay for her to get a gastric sleeve. She let me put it like this, she has lost a whole person since she
Wow.
had the gastric sleeve, and that was in 2021. And she has been on this journey since then of exercise, eating right, and trying to do all the right stuff because she saw what it did to her dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, that points back to what I said earlier about how your health behaviors influence those that you love and those around you.
Yes.
It affects everybody, especially in your immediate household.
Yes.
Like you said, those daddy-daughter dates, or kids pick up what parents do, husbands and wives pick up what each other does. It's the nature of the beast. We pick up habits based on what the people around us are doing. And so I'm glad that you were able to share that, but I'm also glad that she recognized the need for change and she chose the option that was best for her. But I do want to reiterate that getting the gastric sleeve is not the easy way out, because once you
Right.
get it, you still have to maintain so that
Yes.
you don't reverse what they've done. So kudos to her.
100%.
So that is a blessing. I'm so happy that she chose, the healthier route after realizing, because if you're still alive, it's not too late to try to do better.
That's
It's
right.
not too late.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Benita. That definitely puts things into perspective with a real life testimony of the things that I've been sharing here. Would anybody else like to have anything to say, or if Ms. Benita, if you have anything more you'd like to say?
Just thank to everyone for your kind words and condolences and everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else have anything you'd like to say?
I kind of want to go back to what Alexis said earlier. She's no longer on the call, but I remember she mentioned how physical wellness is a form of self-care.
It is.
And just
Mhm.
listening to Miss Benita, I mean that rings true even more so, to just not necessarily take it as something that has to be done, or I should say an option, but really something that's really needed to just take care of yourself and your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just how
Now,
we take care of our mental health, take care of our physical health,
yeah.
everything else. So
And I would even go further and add to that when you do start doing physical things, make it something that you enjoy. Every exercise is not pleasurable to everybody. Now, there will be some things that you don't enjoy, but there are some exercises that you may find exhilarating, that you might find that you feel rejuvenated after doing it. Like for me, I like walking. I feel good after I walk, or lifting weights. A lot of women don't want to lift weights because they don't want to get bulky, but the truth of the matter is it can really shapen you up.
Yeah.
And so when you find what works for you, like I said, even with the diet, when you find what works, you'll stick with it. But if you
Mhm.
try to do those things that you just hate doing, it's going to be harder. And then also, like I said, take small steps. You're not just going to go head forward into a totally new lifestyle unless it's like life threatening. Most people do well to ease themselves into something because it allows them to make changes in a way that's comfortable enough that they won't give up, but also impactful enough that they're starting to see the change. They're starting to appreciate the change. They're starting to like the way their body feels. And like you said, it gives that self-care. I like the way my body feels when I walk. I like the way my body feels when I eat right. I like the way I can move around. I like the way that I can be flexible. I like the way that I can go and help. I like these benefits that come along with it. So it is a form of self-care when you're able to enjoy these things that you once couldn't enjoy or didn't enjoy or didn't know about.
One thing I will say, that the doctor, when we sat down and had a heart to heart with my husband's doctor, when he was, his health started getting worse and worse before the stroke. One of the things the doctor said, I asked, why is it that we can sit in here and you pour out your heart to him, and then as soon as we drive away from your office, the first thing he says is, let's go to Popeyes or, wherever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That negated everything the doctor just said. And the doctor said to me, food to him is like crack to a crack addict.
It's an addiction. Yep.
It is an addiction. And so it was hard for him to pull away from it because it was an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
because it had developed over years and he hadn't tried to change that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, and this is for the holidays, those of us entertaining people holidays and so forth, the other family members from his side of the family, them always saying during holidays, well, let him eat it. He only lives once. Let him have the cake. Let him have the ice cream. Let him have all this other stuff. And my daughter and I trying to tell them, this is killing them though.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not supporting us in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's difficult. And that in that case, sometimes you have to become an advocate for that person.
Yes.
And so it is difficult to tell a grown person what they can't do. I'm gonna
Right.
just be honest. It's one
Yeah.
thing to limit your kids on what they eat, but it's a whole nother thing to
Yeah.
tell a grown person what they can and cannot do. And so, like you said, it's very much so like an addiction. And that's why I say they may not be able to stop cold turkey because it's psychological. Their body has gotten a dependence on it. There's so many aspects to it, but that's why it's better to not even get to that point. Kind of like what Chris was saying earlier, trying not to even go there so that you don't have to worry about how far you got to come back to, you know. So it's important, like you said, start early, start these habits as soon as possible. And like I said, I'm not a fitness expert, but I am someone who cares about my health. I am someone who cares about, like I said, that longevity. When they say you only live once, okay, well, I want to live long, okay? You know, so um you I appreciate again that you were being that advocate for him. It sounds like you were trying to do everything in your power and trying to do it right, and his choices cost him his life, and
Right.
them enabling that behavior, his family enabling that behavior, really caused a big hole in your heart because now he's no longer living. So again, we have to be careful, and that's a great point that you brought out with the advocacy. When you know somebody is not healthy, you do not allow other people to feed into that and to enable, that addiction. So absolutely, that's a great point. And to be honest, they don't have to live with the day-to-day without him. You do.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So again, I appreciate you and I commend you for all that you did for your husband. It sounds like you were an amazing wife
But
and
thank
mother.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's a real problem in our community as a whole, especially down here in the South, because the way we cook our foods. And I mean, for families say, hey, because I don't know how many times I've heard that, hey, just let them eat that, they only live once.
Mhm.
Thinking about even my grandmother, because she was in a similar situation where her habits were bad, but my grandfather, he helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's hard in our community to make the best choices, and I'm not gonna say it's hard for us to make it. I think it's just generational.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Generation where it's just different things that we just passed on to our kids, um and it's something that we have to change each individual household to
Yeah.
where
Right.
we're creating more of healthy habits for
Right.
them
Yeah. We
and
do
for
need to be
for each
more
other.
open-minded.
For each
Yeah.
other. We have to
Yeah.
call each other out and say, hey, no, we need to stop
Mm-hmm.
being like that. We don't, just because, our mom did it, our dad did it, and
Mhm.
we've been doing it all these years, that doesn't mean it has to be that way. We don't have to eat
Exactly.
chitlins.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
And that's the thing, like we have to be more open-minded, and when somebody brings a dish that's a little bit healthier, we can't be like, well, I'm not going to eat that, and then that's the only thing sitting on the table that nobody has touched. Like, it's
Mhm.
not fair. You haven't even given it a chance to know whether you'll like it. We are so close-minded to these traditional dishes and all of this stuff, and so, like you said, it's generational, it's cultural, it's all kind of things, but right most of the time, it may taste good, but it can still taste good and just have a little alternative ingredient, like I said, or
Right.
it just be a whole new dish and just, people give it a chance. You'll be surprised what you end up liking if you would just broaden your taste buds and open your mind just a little bit, you know. And like I said, I honestly believe that now this generation is getting a little bit more health conscious than, generations past, where they didn't necessarily know the consequences as much as we do now. It's becoming a little bit more acceptable to introduce different things and to be health conscious, but it's still a difficult thing in, like I said, the African American community, because we like what we like flavor, but we have to understand we need to become more culinarily inclined, to where we try some herbs and some different things, eliminate some of the salt and add some herbs. You can still have flavor. You
Say
can
that
still
again
have
about the salt. Say that again about the salt.
you take off some of that salt, add some herbs. I cook with a lot of herbs, but it's just a mindset. It really is, and it goes back to that thing being an addiction. It's like, for me, you wouldn't keep giving a drunk person beers. Don't keep giving a food addict food that is
Yeah.
unhealthy. Give
Yeah.
them alternatives.
Okay.
Think of it that way.
I can't let this one go. Okay. I agree. I agree. But what about these chitlins, though? These chitlins, these pig feet, that's generational. We know it's no good. We know it's no good, but then, you got the excuse, hey, it's only one time a year. These are intestines from an animal, man. So, I mean, so it's like we can talk about it and we know it's true, but we're gonna consume these chitlins. You do know that, right? I'm not.
They are. I'm not going to eat them. Personally,
I'm not.
I'm not going to eat them, and I'm not going to cook them. So if you come looking for them, they won't be at my house, and that's part of what we can do. We can stop making it available when people have to, and if they cook it, don't eat it. I mean, all you can do is control your own decisions. You can influence other people's decisions, but I like to say, if I give my children a plate full of healthy food and they eat that first, then they'll be too full to take in anything else. You know what I'm saying? Even if they like it. I myself, if I fill myself up with something good, something nutritional, then when something not so great comes along, I'm not even hungry enough or desiring it enough to take part in it. So sometimes we just have to make it a less of an option, because a lot of times we do what we want to do because it's made to be an option.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding about those items, but I do understand what you're saying. Another point I want to bring up about the eating and being healthy is, when you look around, overwhelmingly in our communities, we don't have healthy chain stores, restaurant wise or grocery wise, that offers us top value fruits and vegetables and overall good eating.
Yeah.
So they're only going to bring in stores and restaurants that cater to what we actually spend our money on. So
True.
once we as a community and as a group of people took health seriously, we could drive those chains out and maybe start getting some better, restaurants and grocery stores in our areas. I mean, it's like you always have to travel outside of the city limits to get to the better quality foods. That shouldn't be, but we have a role to play in it as well.
We do. That is so true, Chris. That's on point, and that's something that I did not think to mention. We do have a lot of food deserts. We have a lot of unhealthy foods in our communities. Our options are oftentimes very limited. Just like you said, for me, I think that when you see like the farmer, you know, a lot of times we'll see a farmer posted up at one of our gas stations or something, and he got his watermelons, he got his tomatoes, he got his, you know, his greens and stuff. We pass right by him and go right over here to the corner store when we could stop and patronize him and get that good grown food, or we could grow our own gardens. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with that? You know exactly what you're putting in it. You know exactly where it came from. You know, we don't want to do that either because it's not convenient. It requires work, you know, all that. So even if we don't have those stores, like, what can we do? Like you said, stop patronizing these, you know, stores that are no good. It may not be an immediate change, but like I said, an immediate change on your part could be planting your own garden. It could be supporting the local farmer on the corner, you know. So yeah, those are excellent points. We are prisoners of convenience, it seems. We just like to go to the store where we can get it all. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. Anybody else? Well, all right, guys, this has been fun. I thank you all for sharing your insight, your inputs. Thank you, Chris and Tony, for your male perspective. And we as women, I vow to try not to be super sensitive when my husband says something to me that I asked for. I'm just
Mr.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Tony.
I want to say one more thing. You said
Yep.
something earlier in your introduction about men and how important it is for men to take care of their bodies and it having an impact on a number of things. And so I want to share a couple of things I think that can help with that. And it kind of brings it all together. Chris mentioned the types of food that we're consuming. It's kind of like a snowball effect. If you start to eat some of these unhealthy choices, then what ends up happening is you start to have high blood pressure. So once you start having high blood pressure, and I'm talking about men, once you start having high blood pressure and you start taking medication for that, then it has an impact on blood flow, which is what you mentioned earlier, right? And so what you can do for the men in your life is kind of encourage them without actually pointing out a particular thing. Maybe you can share with them, hey, your blood pressure medication can have a negative impact on you if you don't take it at the same time every day and you include it with ABCD. So, you know, those men at the work or whoever says you should do ABCD. Now, I'm just trying, I don't know if this is a rated G show or what it is, but I have to
No,
ask
it's
Tiffany.
not for kids.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just very important for you guys to have provide that safe space for your men so they feel comfortable talking about this, because what happens with men is they become extremely reckless. And so they start to live a reckless life where they just don't care about themselves because they don't think anybody really cares about them, which is not true. And so you can impact their health, which is a benefit to you and to everyone else around. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I know that was kind of vague, but I, I, I believe you know what I'm talking about.
I do. And thank you
I
for
got
that.
it.
I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So
Okay.
yes, sir. It is important for us to stress these things, and it is important for us to be a safe place for each other. I mean, you know, because it affects everything in and outside of the bedroom, like I said. It affects everything. And so we just have to be intentional about the lives that we live, intentional about what we put into our bodies, and intentional about how we take care of our bodies for self-care, for each other, for long term. All of that matters. And for our kids too, you know, what we're passing down. So all of that matters. And every decision counts. Like we have to make sure that we are consciously making decisions that are going to give us that happy, healthy, long life.
Travay, before we jump off, I know I've been quiet. This
Hey,
hack.
Patricia.
Hey, I've been quiet, just kind of taking everything in, listening. For men as well, you guys can do that. But for ladies especially, for me, I'll make it personal. What I tend to do when I started on my renewal journey, uh, inside out, this was several years ago. I was very unhappy with where I was in all kinds of areas. And I knew I needed to put in the work, and nobody could do it for me but me. So I just started making little notes about how I was loved, how I was the beloved, that I was beautiful, that, that I am valuable, that, just things that I could look at, read, and say to myself. And at that time, nothing had changed about me. Um, I was about 100 pounds overweight, and I made the decision that I was very unhappy. I never really smiled. If I did smile, it was a more like a smirk. I just was not happy with who I was. I began to love me, or to learn to love me in the condition that I was in at that time, and find things about myself that at first I went to the word of God, and I looked in the word, and I saw who he said that I was. And I began to remind myself of who God said that I was, even when I did not feel that way about me. And in doing so, the more I would encourage myself in him, and encourage myself to myself, and start to believe those things, then I made the decision that I wanted to start walking. That walking went to actually going to the gym. And then I started lifting weights. I changed my eating habits. And the more I could see myself transforming from the inside out, the more I love myself. I love the way I looked. I love what I was becoming. I love, and it wasn't just the physical part, it was the change that was happening, the confidence that I was building up on the inside of me, the stamina, the drive, just the everything. It was changing me in every area of my life. And now I absolutely adore Pat. I love me some me. It's been that way for years now. But and I'm very intentional about self-care, not just the food that I eat, or making sure I get some type of activity in, but self massages. I like using body creams and oils. I do dry brushing. I take I do this stuff on a regular basis. I keep a dry brush beside my bed, and this little hand, and I massage my skin. I massage my feet. I have a jar of skin cream that I keep in my car, a vitamin E cream, a jar beside my bed. Those are just things that I do for me. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. And whoever comes into my life at some point, they will benefit from it, but it's for
Right,
me. It's for
right,
me
right.
first and foremost. And I want to encourage us as ladies, men too, because there are things that they can do to love on themselves, and be the best man version that they can be for themselves and whomever. But we gotta learn to love us. Make
Yeah,
that decision that we're gonna be the best version of us, and love on us, because we're worthy of it. And
yeah,
as we do that, then we can be that best version of ourselves, and it'll just spill over into the lives of everybody else that we're around, that comes into our sphere, or comes into our circle. And that's that I just want to encourage everybody to make that decision to live that life like that. And it's been very rewarding for me.
absolutely. And I love that you started loving on yourself before the change was evident to everybody
Hmm.
else. You know,
Right.
that is so beautiful. And actually, the things that you said you were writing notes about to yourself, I actually, before in the morning time when I take my kids to school, I have them recite an affirmation that I call the Royal Declaration, and it really just affirms who they are, because I feel like starting them young to love themselves and love who God created them to be, and loving
Absolutely.
God, it will carry on into their adulthood, so that they don't have to wait to feel that love, but they feel the love from within. They feel the love from me. They feel the love from God. And that will allow them
Absolutely.
to do just what you did, which is to take care of myself, take care of this
Right.
temple, take care of, and not just because I want to reach a goal, but because I genuinely love myself, not in an
Exactly.
arrogant and cocky way, but in a way that says that I am confident in who God made me to be, and I'm going to
Absolutely.
take care of me. So that is amazing. That is awesome. I commend you for that. And I think it shows, like, even in conversations not related to this, we can feel the confidence that is not the same as arrogance, you know? So
Right.
I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else have anything before we conclude? I'm loving all of this.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining tonight, and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as
Yes,
they
happy Thanksgiving.
find
Make
Yeah.
smart
things.
Happy
choices.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
guys.
make smart choices, finding things to be thankful for, and know
Yes.
that I'm thankful for you all. And also, don't forget about our mixer next Wednesday. That's the last one of the year, so we'll definitely be doing some having some continuing our great discussions next Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, everybody, for logging in and supporting Q&A with Travaé. Thank you for this whole year of just being amazing. This tribe is a blessing to be a part of, and I'm just grateful for the support. I'm grateful for everything that I've learned from you all, because that's really, I'm a lifetime learner. I tell anybody. So yes, thank you all for everything. I just wanted to express that gratitude as we come to a close, and thank you for everything that you shared, even in this discussion. Thank you, Tiffany, for collaborating with me on this platform. All right. If nothing else, I love y'all. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much. Be blessed.
Same to you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy
Happy,
Thanksgiving.
Happy
happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, everybody. Yeah.
All right.